For more analysis, we're joined from Cairo by Mohamed Temawy, political economy and international relations professor, and from Paris by Majid, Bouden, international law professor. A very warm welcome to both our guests in today's show. Dr. Bouden, President Trump claims Iran's nuclear program was obliterated, yet a U.S. intelligence report suggests that Iran's nuclear program has been set back only a few months after U.S. strikes and was not completely and fully obliterated. Then the CIA directors say Iran's nuclear sites were destroyed. How do you explain these contradictory statements from the U.S. administration?
Well, this is, first of all, the state of law situation, which can make born such conflictual assessment or statements. It's in this type of countries where is a state of law, each agency, the president himself could say something and be contradicted by agencies, and then agency can be contradicted by another agency. So this is how democracy are living, and it's important to know the truth. Now, this is the first point. It doesn't mean that one is lying, the other is not lying. They have different view, they have different assessment, and maybe also we can take into consideration that you have this ambiguity because the matter is not settled yet. There is ways, steps to go further. Now we have to look at the matter from 2 points. This is the factual point, and this is the legal point. The legal point has two points, two sub-points. The first point is that it is it's unchallenged that these strikes against Iran were not in compliance with international law. But the second point is that Iran itself is a member of the Non-Proliferation Treaty.
Is it a member, sir, or not a member?
A member.
A member of the NPT?
They have agreed in a way or another. They have agreed in the 2015 to not use to not develop nuclear weapons. So, how is the way to interpret the position? They have taken a commitment to not produce this nuclear weapon. So they adhere to it. Let's put aside the procedural aspect. We have to go to the substantive items of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. The Non-Proliferation Treaty is saying that countries, they accept this provision. They must not develop nuclear weapons. Iran, in the negotiations and the arrangement and the agreement of 2015 until 2018, they said that they will not do it, and they made a commitment. And commitments in international law must be taken in good faith. And, this is a principle in international law, so Iran must obey to this. And in the other hand, if they have admitted this, if they take this commitment, they have to allow the International Agency for Nuclear Energy to make an inspection.
IAEA, sir.
Yes. So they have to now to clear this matter and to cooperate and have the thing cleared, so we can avoid whether it's few months or few years or few days. But the matter is that we have to get out from this mess and this situation, which is now the ceasefire is fine for everybody, but we have to see long term. Now we have to come back we have to focus on what happened, how the international agency will look at the matter with cooperation with Iran there will be talks between Iran and the US, and probably with the Europeans. The Arab countries of the Middle East countries must come to these negotiations as part of the negotiations.
Okay, Dr. Bouden, I'll leave this here and I'll be back to you, Dr. El-Temawy. How credible is the CIA's claim of severe damage when the Defense Intelligence Agency still assesses only a months-long setback and expresses low confidence?
Greetings to you and your distinguished guest. In light of intel statement and accounts of the United States, seems that the fate of the Iranian nuclear program is in crossroads. That the airstrikes launched by U.S. on the nuclear site aren't decisive yet, but in fact disrupted some features of the program, never led to a full destruction as announced politically, but the estimation of the time wouldn't exceed only a few months. That seems that the infrastructures of the program is still in place and can be reproduced in a short time. American strikes lately created a great argument within Intel and the White House regarding the contradictions of the estimations regarding the strike's impact. But the concern to repeat the failure in the Intel agency through such a war as happened in Iraq in 2003. The American president described the strikes by obliterated the infrastructure. So the Israeli-American efforts delivered a great blow against the Iranian nuclear facilities. But the Intel account showed the discrepancy on the assessment. With respect to the first report issued by the Intel or the Defense Intel Agency were based on the information that were gathered within the first 24 hours following the strikes that targeted 3 main nuclear sites, and related that the level of devastation is ranged by the average and only will be set back into only a few months only, and this would lead to the weakness of trust due to the modern information, and some strikes weren't targeted, and the CIA provided a very different report following the strikes. Its chiefs said that there are credible information indicated that a number of sites are totally devastated, and affirmed that all this information described by the agents is very accurate and credible. With respect to the U.S. strikes that hit Bouden, that under the mountain and already fortified by hundreds of meters of cement blocks any damage that will make it inoperative, that makes Iran that wouldn't resume the enrichment, and also Natanz target as the main center of uranium enrichment through the air strikes described and very forcible, and despite the main concentration on Isfahan that is used to transform the uranium into solid material in a bid to produce nuclear bomb, despite the size of devastation and their impact. In particular, in light of reports indicated that Iran have moved great quantities of enriched uranium before the strikes, and the IAEA indicated that Iran had stopped some specific activities before the strikes that would lead suspicion about the estimations, and any intel agency never affirmed categorically that all the entrance of food would totally destroy, that would lead that Iran might regain its capabilities, and some skepticism by the Senate.
I'll be back. Leave it here, sir, and back again. Dr. Bouden, the White House and Israeli officials say Iran's program has been delayed by years, while imagery suggests some uranium and equipment were moved. How might this contradiction shape Iran's future nuclear capabilities, sir?
Well, this is an important question, but this is not the major preoccupation today. Today, we have to have a Middle East free of nuclear weapons. If it is a fact that Iran has signed the non-proliferation of treaty in 1968, it's since the Shah, and they have ratified it in 1970. So before the new regime, but still, it's the Iranian state who made this. And in 2015, the new regime, or if you can call it new regime now, in 2015, they have confirmed this. But the point here is that we have to be very, very straightforward. Iran has a commitment to not possess a nuclear weapon. They must open the inspection for that. And so we have a free Middle East from nuclear weapons. But there is another problem, which is the most important thing here, is that Israel has the nuclear bomb, and nobody is talking about it. And it looks like if they go under the radars of legal of international law, and this is the major point here. How can Israel did not ratify the non-proliferation treaty, but they are not allowed to have the nuclear bomb, and they have it, and they are representing a threat against the whole populations in the Middle East. And this situation should be addressed. And if it should be addressed, it means that if Israel will abandon a nuclear weapon, they will ask for an international guarantee. It's like what happened to...
Was Israel asked, sir, to abandon the nuclear weapon?
No,
nobody asked Israel, and nobody made a fuss over Israel.
But this is a question, the populations, all the populations in the Middle East, they must have a security against a person like Netanyahu. How could they be safe if Netanyahu is commanding and he had the nuclear bomb? And so we have seen what he's doing with classic weapons against the populations in Gaza. And the people, they have their lives are equal to the lives of others, and they must be protected. And we must go in the negotiations to aim from Israel to abandon this and to have the security for all the population of the Middle East. On this, Israel is objecting that its existence is threatened. Now, Iran is not a threat to, and according to the Israelis themselves, the Israeli government, to the White House and the American authorities, Iran is not a threat anymore. Whatever it's for a few months or few years, now Iran is not a threat. So the only threat is Israel. And if Israel is a threat, we have the international community must obtain from Israel to abandon this nuclear.
Sir, apparently Tehran is still a threat because there are many conferences and many statements and many leakages happening about whether the nuclear facilities were hit or badly damaged or not, or Iran is going to continue its nuclear capabilities in months or years. So there's a lot of controversy about this. Apparently, it's still a threat.
Yes, but this is for Iran had the obligation now to clarify its position and to allow the International Agency for Nuclear Energy,
IAEA, sir.
Yes, to have this IAEA, to have it inspect its
yeah. So I'll leave you there, sir, and I'll go back to Dr. Temawy. Iranian officials admit nuclear facilities were badly damaged. How is Tehran internally framing and dealing with this attack?
I understand from question that with this, will Iran to resume its nuclear program? The answer will be relying on the more political pressure and technical capabilities. Iran, throughout the years, adopts a rhetoric that based on the political right of having a peaceful program, but in the same time, Iran used it strategically as a weapon or an instrument in negotiation and to rebuild the infrastructure of the nuclear program. Threats waved by Washington that taken further measurements following in the latest strikes despite the ceasefire, Iran will resume certainly to operate its program. There are potential trajectories either to come back to more harsh conditions through negotiation or to continue the scattered pressures militarily to submit its ambition. So the full deterioration or to force Iran to step back completely of its nuclear program or to abandon its latest bargain ships. I think that wouldn't happen. The nuclear program won't be back to operate according to the announced context, but will enter to a new phase of restructuring. Such a phase that will be combined by the technological progress and the political cautious awaiting of regional international circumstances that will allow Iran to go back on the table with more balanced conditions. With respect to there's another important point. As the truce took place or took effect, wasn't based on a very abiding agreement that will trigger concern to violation of agreement and renew the retaliations between the warning parties. Will make this to resume Iran its nuclear activities, and certainly will be a potential, but some would argue that Iran will work for strongly in order to acquire nuclear weapons, in order to make it able to deter all the Israelis' actions in the future, along with America, of course. That will create, once again, to go back quickly on the negotiation. People in region,
okay, sir. We're going to be waiting for them to go back on the negotiation table and witness what's going to be happening and see what the United States and Iran will achieve and accomplish in this context. Dr. Bouden, Trump announced that Iran and the United States will resume talks next week. What do you expect Iran's position will be in those talks, especially after what took place, sir, in the 12-day war? Quote Trump.
Well, we have seen that Iran has taken a measure last night and this morning to suspend by a vote at the parliament. They voted a bill to suspend the cooperation with AIEA and the International Agency for Energy.
Iran suspended?
They voted the bill. So it means they voted the bill for suspension, but on the other hand, the bill is not final because it must go to the Religious Guardian Council to approve it or not to approve it. So this is in the process. But this means if they stop cooperation with the International Agency for energy activities, so the atomic energy activities, so the situation will be complicated, and they will give a possibility to Israel to attack again, or to Trump to decide another attack. So the situation now is not really completely clear or heading
so
to...
it's not clear. One last question before I wrap up this episode. Sir, why doesn't Iran let the IAEA inspect its nuclear facilities to end all this hassle at the end of the day?
Yeah, yes, it's the question is for me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Well, Iran wanted to save face after this adventure and these aggression, which she was suffering from this aggression, which is a true fact. But this is the nature of the approach of Iran to not accept an arrangement for that, and to drag it with the negotiations and to bargain in the negotiations. But sometimes there is no more time to negotiate like this, and this will give another argument to have this turmoil in the area to continue. And this should be taken in another way today. Iran should obey to its legal obligation, to its international legal obligation, to let the IAEA to make its inspection, to cooperate with that, to show to the world that they have no evidence that they are developing nuclear weapons, but they can also claim the right to develop civil nuclear, and then they will take all arguments from Israel and the US, and they will come back to a peaceful situation, and then we can come back to Israel as a threat in the area, and what the international community can give to all these populations around the Middle East: safety.
Dr. Majid Bouden, because I have to wrap up this episode now. During the negotiations before the war, before Israel struck Iran, the negotiations were on the table, and during the negotiations, Iran would not agree to get rid of its nuclear capabilities. So this was the main contentious issue at that point. And then a war took place and it ended. The question remains, sir, at this point, before we wrap up, is what is the future of Iran's nuclear program, and will diplomacy succeed, or will the region slide back towards confrontation? That was Majid Bouden, international law professor, and Mohamed Temawy, political economy and international relations professor. Thank you very much, both guests, for your intellectual, informative knowledge and for your insights.